Okay, so I decided today that we might talk about a more sensitive topic. I just realized how shiny my forehead is, so I'm sorry if that's blinding you. The more serious topic that we're going to be talking about happens to be abortion, just because that's something I'm kind of passionate about, since I've discovered politics and, like, how they work and stuff. So, in my Bible, which is the King James Version, it's specifically this teen study Bible, so I don't know, I guess that's why it has these, but it has these little sections that, like, explains further just kind of what the text is about. So I thought we'd start with this one, and then go on to another one, and then actually read just a few scriptures about abortion, or, like, life in the womb. Wow, I just saw my light freak out, I'm sorry. So this says, adoption's an option. Sometimes Christians are criticized for being pro-life. Abortion advocates talk about how terrible it is to be an unwanted child. They think if a child is unwanted, he or she is sure to be neglected or abused. We need to remember that adoption is an option. Believers are called to defend the poor and fatherless, do justice to the afflicted and needy, in Psalms 82, verse 3. If you should ever face the choice, please consider options other than abortion. Many Christian couples want a baby to love. Couples who would be glad to do God's will by caring for a fatherless child and rescuing you and your baby from this very difficult situation. So, that's that one. The next one we're going to go on to is called God is Pro-Life. And it says, the whole abortion debate hinges on one issue. Is a fetus really part of the woman's body so she can do what she wants with it, with her body? Or is the fetus a separate, distinct human being? Every human being throughout history has had a unique, individual genetic code. I just ripped my Bible. Oh no! Okay, I'll figure that out later. Every human being throughout history has had a unique, individual genetic code stamped on every cell in his or her body. Both the mother and the fetus she carries have a genetic code stamped on their genes and chromosomes. Are they the same? No. The fetus's genetic code is different from the mother's. To say a woman can do whatever she wants with her own body might be true, but it is not true that a fetus is merely a part of the mother's body. As Psalm 139 teaches, even in his mother's womb, David was David, a unique person being shaped by God for a special role in God's plan. And then I'm just going to read just a few scriptures that go with that, and those scriptures are going to be Psalm 139, verses 13 through 16. So I'll read it out of my Bible, and I'll read it off of Bible Gateway with the easy to read version, just so that it makes a little bit more sense. So, Psalm 139:13 says, For thou hast possessed my reins, thou hast covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works. And that my soul knoweth right well. My substance was not hid from thee when I was made in secret, and curiously wrought in the lowest parts of the earth. Thine eyes did see my substance yet being unperfect, and in thy book all my members were written, which in continuance were fashioned, when as yet there was none of them. So that makes almost no sense to me what I just read, other than God knew we were there and we had a purpose before we were even born, before we were even actually formed. So in Bible Gateway, this is an amazing website that I cannot recommend enough. In the easy to read version, the same one I used in last week, in my last video, says, You formed the way I think and feel. You put me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because you make me in such a wonderful way. I know how amazing that was. You could see my bones grow as my body took shape hidden in my mother's womb. You could see my body grow each passing day. You listed all my parts, and not one of them was missing. Okay, there's like footnotes down here, and this first one says Psalm 139:13, the way I think and feel, literally my kidneys, which were thought to be the center of emotion. The next one says Psalm 139:15, mother's womb, literally deepest parts of the earth, meaning a place we know nothing about. So I guess back in the day they didn't know much about women's reproductive system, which, you know, that makes sense. And then the last one says Psalm 139:16, you day or you watched me every day. So yeah, basically God just witnessed us every day of what's the word? Development. So let's go on from that. So my actual first scripture that I had planned to read in the order I had wrote them down was Exodus 21, 22, and 23. Yes, I am aware of how much I touch my face. Every time I decide to do something important, my nose decides it has to itch. So, Exodus 21, chapter 21, verses 22 and 23 say, if men strive and hurt a woman with child, so that her fruit depart from her, and yet no mischief follow, he shall be surely punished according as the woman's husband will lay upon him, and he shall pay as the judges determine. And if any mischief follow, then thou shalt give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burning for burning, wound for wound, stripe for stripe. So I didn't think that meant literally until I read this, and it made more sense. So the easy to read version says, two men might be fighting and hurt a pregnant woman. This might make the woman give birth to her baby before its time. If the woman was not hurt badly, the man who hurt her must pay a fine. So if the baby is just hurt, or like if it's born too early but it's fine and it survives, then the man just has to pay a fine. The woman's husband will decide how much the man must pay. The judges will help the man decide how much the fine will be. But if the woman was hurt badly, then the man who hurt her must be punished. The punishment must fit the crime. You must trade one life for another. So if the woman is hurt badly, and this says hurt badly or killed, if the mother was killed or the baby was killed, the punishment must fit the crime, so that means the man that hurt her will also be killed. Hold on. I don't know why Hold on. Okay, I'm back. So, the next one we're going to read is going to be Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 5. I have my verses color coordinated with sticky tabs and still can't find them. Okay, so Jeremiah 1:5 says, before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee, and before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee. I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. So the easy to read version says, before I made you in your mother's womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I chose you for a special work. I chose you to be a prophet of the nations. So it's like basically the same thing the Bible just said. And I also read page 909, which is this next page, which is another one of those, like, breaking it down things. But these segments are called Dear Jordan, so they're like letters written to this guy, and he responds, and I don't know why they're in here, but I thought to read this one. So the girl wrote to him, her name's Ashley, and she wrote to Jordan, and said, the U.S. Supreme Court says abortion is legal. Why shouldn't Christians get them if they need to? Does the Bible even talk about abortion? Okay, if that means if Christians get them if they need to, if it's, like, necessary medically, which is rarely because of how advanced medical technology is, then yes. Obviously, in the case of life or death of the mother, you choose the life of the mother over the life of the child. If it means, why shouldn't Christians get them if they need to because they don't want to be pregnant anymore, then that's too bad, and you should have to deal with that because you chose it. You chose to get pregnant. Okay, so this says, Dear Ashley, as Christians, we are called to live by laws of man, but more importantly, we are called to live by God's law. He is our highest authority. People who defend abortion say that a woman has the right to control her own body, but consider this. Each cell in your body has your unique genetic stamp. Whether a living cell is taken from your tongue or your toe, it contains the stamp of your identity. From the moment a sperm meets an egg, so conception. Oh, my light, I saw that. I'm sorry, I'll try to be still. From the moment a sperm meets an egg, the cells which start multiplying carry their own genetic code, different from the mother's. An unborn child is therefore not part of the woman's body. It is a separate individual with its own genetic code. If it were a part of the woman's body, it would have the woman's genetic code. Old Testament laws said if someone caused a woman's unborn child to die, compensation should be paid. The unborn child was seen as more than just an extension of the woman's body, which is in Exodus 21, 22, and 23 that we just read. For Christians, the issue is even clearer. The Bible says God formed you in the womb and prepared you for your life before you were born. You were carefully made by God from the moment of conception. The unborn are individuals known by God. No one has the right to destroy them. That's true. Okay, so that's all I have biblically. Now we're just going to get into my opinion. So, okay, hold on. First of all, my stance on abortion is not based in the Bible at all, because if you try to debate with someone who doesn't believe in the Bible, that's going to be talking to a brick wall. You have to debate with facts and science. And thankfully, science is on my side. I should not have wore a black shirt. I blend into the background when the light's on. Sorry. So, first I thought we could read the definition of abortion, because some people try to make it things it's not. So, it's the deliberate termination of a human pregnancy, most often performed during the first 28 weeks of pregnancy. So, it's intentionally removing something that was alive from the mother to terminate it or to kill it. Like, that's what the whole point of the movie Terminator is about. He kills things. So, if you're terminating a human pregnancy, you're killing it. And a fetus is alive, or it wouldn't be growing, it wouldn't be developing. Things that aren't alive don't grow. Like, I've never seen a rock grow into something else. A rock will always be a rock. Miscarriage is not an abortion. The baby, unfortunately, passes away. It's not intentionally killed. Ectopic pregnancy is also not abortion. It is a pregnancy in which the fetus develops outside the uterus, typically in a fallopian tube, and it's removed because it poses a risk to the mother. So in that case, the baby will not survive in the fallopian tube, so it's removed to protect the mother from suffering medically. I've always heard these statistics, and specifically from Ben Shapiro, because I really like him. And what would he gain from lying to me? Nothing. So, I've always heard these rape statistics, and that is that 0.1% of all rapes are performed because of... 0.1% of abortions are performed because of rape or incest. 0.3% of abortions are performed out of medical necessity, and all others, so about 96%, are performed just because the woman decides one day she doesn't want to be pregnant anymore. Like, I could never. If I did not want to have a baby, I would not be doing the one biological activity that leads to pregnancy. Like, pregnancy is a biological response to a man and a woman having intercourse. So, another popular argument is having an abortion saves the child from a lifetime of suffering, and that's not necessarily true. Just because you remove the sufferer from the world will not remove the suffering. So, I hope that made sense. And we could focus on improving foster homes if we could get women to stop killing their babies. So my thoughts are, now this might sound a little rough till I get it all the way out. If men have to control themselves, if men are like expected to control themselves and not rape women when they have sexual urges, then women can most definitely control the same exact sexual urges when it comes to voluntary consensual sex. It's not like men who rape have different sexual urges than women who can choose not to. And that's not saying that men can't choose not to rape. Obviously they can. In the same way that women can choose not to have sex to create a baby they don't want to carry. So hopefully that made sense. It's literally just as simple as that. If you don't want a baby, don't have sex. You're doing the one thing that'll lead to having a baby. That's the easiest... sorry about that. Okay, so like I was saying, the easiest way and the most effective, 100% effective way to not have a baby, to not get pregnant, is literally to not have sex. Now, I don't expect married couples to not have intercourse. That's like one of the reasons you get married, at least in a Christian household, is because I can't even pronounce the word fornication. That's probably not right. Hold on. And okay, you know what I mean. Just premarital sex is a no-no. Don't do that. Especially if you're claiming to be a Christian, because sex is the most beautiful gift given to a married couple from God. I just saw a fly go like right past my face. Okay. Anyways. So, I would discourage sex in teenagers because you are not, at 15, usually able to provide for a child on your own, and unmarried couples, I think. So I found some statistics I'll try to put in. If I scoot over, maybe the pictures I'm going to put in will fit like right here. So I'll just put these in. And I know that one of them is abortion statistics directly from Planned Parenthood, but there's no way they can be true. And then just some other stuff I found. So I'll try to put those in. I wish I had emailed them to myself so I could talk about them, and then actually I'm gonna do that. Any background noise? I finally got the pictures to work, so I thought we could just talk about them, and I'll insert them here somewhere on either side of my gigantic head. So I'll skip this way. Maybe I'll put them right here. So the first one is this one, and it says annual report. In 2019, Planned Parenthood provided care and education to millions and fought for the rights of all people, just like we have for more than 100 years. Okay, so what about the right to life? That's in the Constitution. So technically, Planned Parenthood is violating the Constitution by allowing all these abortions to happen, because there is an intrinsic right to life, and every fetus that develops from the moment of conception has the right to life. Alright, the next one, Roe at risk. So Roe versus Wade is the case that made abortion legal. So this year, the reproductive rights movement faced an unprecedented wave of extreme bans on abortion. I wonder why. Anti-abortion politicians in state houses, galvanized by the confirmation of Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, are racing to pass laws that will change Roe versus Wade and make abortion illegal. And while Planned Parenthood is preparing for a future where abortion is no longer a guaranteed right, abortion is not a right. Just take that thought out of your head and put it in the trash can. Abortion is not a right, and it will never be a right. We're working every day to ensure these laws don't go into effect, and that every person can control their own body and get what they need. It's not your body, though. Like, okay, if a fetus was your body, you would not, or the fetus would not exist until the day of birth. If it was your body, you would have 20 fingers and toes, you would have 4 eyes, 2 noses, 2 pairs of lips, 2 hearts, 2 stomachs, 4 lungs, and the baby would not have its own physical body until the day of birth. It would also not have its own genetic DNA code until the day of birth. So it's not your body. Quit saying that it is, just because the body creates a placenta for the fetus that is removed when the baby is born. So it's not part of your body. You don't have a placenta before you're pregnant, and you don't have one after. It typically comes out. So it's not your body. It never will be. And then I think those are all I was going to talk about or add. This one. Okay, this one says, I took this directly from a screenshot of the Constitution online, which says, every human being has the inherent right to life. This right shall be protected by law. No one shall be arbitrarily deprived of his life. So, that's all I wanted to say with those. I'm so glad that finally decided to work. I tried to do a voiceover, and it didn't want to work. I could only record like 10 seconds at a time. I'm trying out this new editing app called KineMaster, which I really like, because I've been looking for an app that lets me layer photos over my video, and hopefully this will work. It was free. The premium one is not free. It's like $3.99 a month, which I can't get because I don't have a job right now. But I just wanted the basic, being able to layer photos over video, and I hope it works. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Oh, I just want to say also, okay, what I was going to say is that when I said men should not rape women, duh. I don't support rape. I agree, again, with Ben Shapiro that rapists should be castrated or killed. I don't know how you could think you could do that to someone else and that you won't get in trouble. First of all, it's illegal. Second of all, it's immoral. Like, why would you force yourself upon someone like that in a way of something that is supposed to be so sacred and, intimate? Sex is supposed to be intimate between a married man and a woman, not between someone that forces it onto someone who doesn't want it. So, that's the end of my video. I hope the editing app works, and I hope this video, does not ruin my YouTube journey before it starts, because some people are just so sensitive to intellectual diversity that they won't even give it a chance. They only back up freedom of speech when it's something they agree with, which is really honestly pathetic. If you can't tolerate an opinion that's different than yours, if it's because you feel conviction and you know what you're doing is wrong, that's different than just being so blatantly mean to not let someone else have their voice when you get to talk all day long. And you're all we hear from the media. Okay? Okay. Bye.